I went hiking alone in northern Montana. It was supposed to be a simple overnight trip. One trail, one campsite, back the next day. I'd done it before. The trail was quiet, too quiet. No birds, no wind, just the sound of my boots against dirt. I set up camp around 6 p.m. Small clearing, dense forest on all sides. By 9 p.m., it was pitch black. That's when I heard the first whistle. It was faint, short, 2 notes. I froze. It came from somewhere behind my tent. I told myself it was a bird. Then it happened again. Same 2 notes, closer. I stepped outside with my flashlight. Nothing, just trees. I went back inside. 10 minutes later, the whistle came from the other side, opposite direction, not echoing, moving. Someone was circling my tent. I grabbed my knife and turned off my lantern. Silence. Then footsteps. Slow, careful, crunching leaves. Right outside. I held my breath. The footsteps stopped. Then the whistling started again. Right next to my tent. 2 slow notes. And then my tent wall pressed inward, like someone gently leaned their hand against it. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. After about a minute, it released. The footsteps walked away. I stayed frozen until sunrise. When I finally stepped outside, there were footprints, bare, no hiking boots, no animal tracks, just human footprints, circling my tent. I was deep in Oregon woods, miles from the nearest road, no signal, no other campsites nearby. I purposely choose isolated areas. That night, around midnight, I woke up to a glow, orange light flickering against my tent walls. I thought my fire had somehow reignited, but I drowned it before bed. I unzipped my tent slowly. About 40 yards away, through the trees, there was another campfire, burning bright. But here's the problem. There were no other cars in the parking area. No voices, no movement, just fire. I called out. No answer. The fire suddenly went out, instantly, not slowly dying, not fading, just gone. Darkness, total silence. I felt something shift in the forest, like the atmosphere changed. Then I heard running, not toward me, around me, fast footsteps circling my position, branches snapping, heavy breathing, but I saw nothing. I got in my car and left immediately. The next morning, I checked local forums. That specific forest area had reports of phantom fires for years, campers seeing flames with no source, and some of them reported something else, being followed afterward. I haven't camped alone since. This happened in rural Canada. I was hunting alone in late fall, cold, isolated, dense woods. I built a small temporary shelter with a tarp. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to 3 knocks on a tree. Behind me, knock, knock, knock. Perfectly spaced. I listened carefully. Nothing. Then 3 knocks again, but this time, closer. People sometimes use tree knocks as signals while hunting, but I was alone, and I didn't know anyone else was out there. I grabbed my rifle and stepped outside. Pitch black. Then I heard it again. 3 knocks. To my left. I turned. 3 knocks. Behind me. Moving. Circling. Then I heard something I'll never forget. A voice. Not clear. Not normal. It sounded like someone trying to copy human speech, but failing. Like broken whispering. It came from maybe 20 feet away. I aimed my flashlight, and for a split second, I saw a shape between the trees. Too tall, too thin. It moved unnaturally fast. Not running, not walking. Gliding sideways between trunks. The knocking stopped. The voice stopped. Silence. I didn't sleep. At sunrise, I packed up. As I was leaving, I noticed something carved into a tree near my shelter. 3 vertical lines, fresh, deep. I didn't carve them, and I didn't stay long enough to find out who did. I wasn't supposed to be out there that late. The plan was simple: hike up to the old fire tower before sunset, take some photos, and hike back down. But I underestimated the trail. By the time I reached the tower, the sun was already dipping below the tree line. The tower stood about 50 feet tall, rising above the forest canopy. Old, rusted, forgotten. There were warning signs at the base. Structure unsafe. Enter at your own risk. I ignored them. The climb up felt wrong. Every step echoed through the metal staircase. The forest below grew darker with each rung. When I reached the top, the view was incredible. Miles of trees, no roads, no houses, just endless forest. That's when I realized something. There were no animal sounds, no birds, no wind, just silence. I checked my phone. No signal. I decided to stay up there until sunrise. It felt safer than hiking down in total darkness. I locked the trap door and settled inside the small wooden cabin at the top. Around midnight, I heard the first sound. Metal creaking. Slow. Rhythmic. Like someone was stepping onto the staircase below. I froze. The creaking continued. One step. Pause. Another step. Pause. It wasn't the wind. The air was completely still. The steps stopped halfway up. Silence. I slowly walked to the window and looked down. Nothing. Just darkness swallowing the staircase. I told myself the tower was settling. Old metal expands and contracts at night. That's normal. I sat back down. 10 minutes later, the creaking started again, but this time it was faster. Step, step, step. Coming up the stairs, I rushed to the trap door and pressed my body against it. The steps stopped directly below me. Then, 3 knocks. From the underside of the trapdoor, slow, deliberate. I couldn't breathe. No one knew I was there. I didn't tell anyone about this trip. After about 30 seconds, a voice spoke from below. It sounded like a man, but wrong. Like the voice was being pushed through a broken speaker. Open. Just one word. Flat. Emotionless. I stayed silent. Then it repeated. Open. I backed away from the trap door. The voice began whispering. Not sentences, just fragments, half-formed words, almost like it was practicing human speech. Then came the scratching. Something dragging along the metal stairs, climbing again. The trap door handle began to shake, violently, up and down, up and down. The metal rattled so hard I thought it would snap. Then suddenly, it stopped. Complete silence. Minutes passed. I didn't move. Around 3 a.m., I heard something worse. Footsteps. Inside the cabin. Behind me. Slow. Measured. There was only one way into that tower cabin, the trap door, and it was still locked. The footsteps stopped directly behind my chair. I felt breath on the back of my neck. Cold. Slow. Deliberate. I couldn't turn around. I just stared at the window. Then I saw it. At the base of the tower. A silhouette. Looking up at me. But that wasn't possible. If it was down there, what was standing behind me? The breath grew heavier, closer to my ear, and then it whispered, "You locked the wrong door." I spun around. Nothing. The cabin was empty. The trap door still closed, still locked. When sunrise finally came, I didn't waste a second. I opened the trap door carefully. The staircase was empty, but something had changed. Every single step of the staircase had deep claw marks carved into the metal, all the way from the bottom to the very top, as if something had climbed up using its hands, and whatever it was, it didn't need the stairs. I never found that fire tower again. I tried to return months later. The trail was gone. No warning signs, no structure, just trees, like it was never there.